The history of our Earth is so different from what we can imagine.
Enjoy the journey.
The Smithsonian, if they found out about a large skeleton somewhere, was to go get it.
I'm going to assume at least one person is right, because if one person's right, it busts the paradigm.
It all goes back to the fallen cherub. And the problem with the modern day church, they have a very truncated view of the supernatural.
This backdrop that's just pregnant with all kinds of meaning associated with this Mount Hermon event.
Welcome to Blurry Creatures.
And this guy defects from the kingdom. That's a big deal.
Your grandma is reading. She's reading. What's she reading? Dr. Heiser's book?
She's read Gary Wayne's book.
Gary Wayne's book, yeah.
Which is probably the most extreme. I mean, it's literally Genesis 6 conspiracy. So it's like conspiracy crash course.
We're gonna have Grandma, Nate's grandma. Welcome to the show.
It would be funny.
Let's just call her. We should just call her up.
Let me see if I can just get her.
Hello?
Hey, Grandma.
Oh, hi, Nate.
How are you?
Hey, are you calling from the snow country?
Yeah, we're buried in snow here. When it snows like that, and you were looking out your windows, Grandma, everyone wants to know, did you see any weird creatures walking around in the snow?
Oh, Nate, you're always talking about weird creatures.
Dude, Luke, we finally found the guy that dug up bones in his backyard, and he's coming on in a couple weeks, and so...
And Dr. Michael Heiser as well.
Yeah, we have Heiser.
They're all on the schedule, at least for the coming month.
For March, yeah.
And Dr. Scott Walter's super interesting because he actually had an episode, as things go on this show. One of the episodes on his show, American Unearthed, happened to do with Roger finding giant bones in Minnesota. So
yeah,
we're just going to stack it up.
We got both of them.
Stack it and rack it.
And Roger's friend is a seer, and that's the first time we'll be interviewing someone who has.
If you thought it was weird before, it's about to get super weird.
And that's what we do on Blurry Creatures. We get weird. So Luke,
update episode, right? Update
episode. It's been getting weird. Sometimes when I'm getting emails back and forth from guests, I just start laughing to myself because I'm like, Luke's gonna love this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've listened to so many weird podcasts remodeling houses. Nothing really bothers me anymore other than probably like talking to a straight demon possessed person.
Yeah.
You know how you get to that place in life where you're just like, I don't know. Like I thought I knew some things, but the older I get, the less I know. I have the core foundation of things I believe, but for the most part, the periphery things change all the time. So
yeah. I mean, I see that in you. I see that in your eyes, Nate. Yeah, you're a lot farther down the road, I think, in the weirdness than I am. Not that I'm against it. I just said sometimes I'm like, man, this is. I think I've seen enough.
Who was the weirdest so far on the show? Like, what was the moment where you felt the most uncomfortable?
I mean, all of it. I mean, in some ways.
Was it Tim Alberino talking about Exploded Planet?
No, that was pretty awesome. Also, just a little crazy, and also like the Battle on Mars.
Yeah.
I talked to my brother about this, and he's like, man, I loved Alberino. And he started talking about the Greys, and then there's some planet that blew up, and they're fighting on Mars, and I'm like, yeah, man, I got a little lost there too. Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
So the Greys, what are they? Well, we know they're aliens. They're not comparable to ours. That would be an alien race, a terrestrial alien race, right? So it's important to define terms. So the Greys, the gray aliens, which absolutely exist, 1,000% are real, believe me. So the Greys, what are they? Well, we know they're aliens, they're not us. The question is, are they extraterrestrial? I don't know for sure, but my guess is that yes, they are extraterrestrial. They're not from the Earth. Where are they from? Maybe they're from the interior of Mars.
It just is a lot. I mean, no, what I was going to say is when we came out the gate with Duke, and I had no idea what to expect. I mean, you and I just were on Twitter. Let's do a Bigfoot podcast, and we talked. And you and I had a couple episodes in the beginning that probably nobody listens to. You had to lay the foundation, but then we go. Duke starts talking about these things, smiling at it and wearing armor, portals, and little people, which I learned then that you love that, and then mountain giants, which you also love.
Back again. And there's been little people sightings on the continent as long as there have been people on the continent. Henry Hudson, when he was exploring over in the Northeast, doing his explorations around Hudson Bay, it's well recorded that him and his troop of men ran into some dwarves that were playing nine pins and getting drunk, just like the other tall tale from the same region, by the way.
It's not like it could get a whole lot weirder.
Yeah.
But it can't. I mean, it's going to, because you're talking about bringing like a seer on, which I got to be honest, I'm like somewhat apprehensive about, because like I spent time in Southeast Asia in my early 20s, and with YWAM of all things, if you guys are familiar with that, Youth with a Mission, I was out there. And I saw demon-possessed people. I saw some crazy stuff happen with my own eyes. And I got some weird, like, supernatural stories of things that happened to me in San Diego. El Chico, we used to go looking for this kind of stuff. And when you actually find it, you kind of wish you hadn't gone looking for it. At least that's how I felt. So, there's always that, like, Yeah. We talked about this before, though, and I don't know if we did it on the show or you and I just talked about it in texting about testing the spirits. And I think you might have said something about that on the show. There's a lot of crazy stuff in the Bible that, we talked about it on our last episode, actually, about, like when after the resurrection, these dead people came out of their tombs and walked around. And we skip over that just as much as the church skips over Genesis 6.
For their imagination, I think these were real beings. I think they all come back to Genesis chapter 6. That what was taking place that in Genesis 6 was this what we call the incursion or the invasion of these fallen angels who essentially came to Earth and started messing with human and animal genetics. And that's not as discussed when we talk about the Nephilim, is that in Genesis 6 and Genesis 7, what the Bible says is that all flesh had corrupted itself. So the animals too were corrupted.
I had this feeling that the closer you get to the truth, the more you're going to have people who just put their foot in the mud and be like, no, I'm not going there. I can't handle that. I just think truth is stranger than fiction. That seems to be the saying in my head. I'm always like, man, truth is stranger than fiction. Like when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's always weirder and stranger than you would imagine.
So what's the update then?
Yeah, the update is we're 25 episodes into this thing. I think we're going to launch a Patreon because we've had a lot of people hit us up and be like, hey, I want to support your show. And I think for us, it just took a while to let's get to 25 episodes and see what this podcast is. This is the update to me is you start your podcast. You're like, okay, let's get Duke on. Let's get weird. And you think, oh, we're just going to do a Bigfoot show. Clearly, after like 5 episodes, it went,
right.
This isn't just a Bigfoot show. I think there's a lot of Bigfoot shows out there.
No, and I think that's what it's a big circle. Everything kind of comes back to Bigfoot. But that also is it's the beginning of the story, right? Like it's the reason we started looking harder at the rest of these things, and it's all connected. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Look at the journey we've had. I mean, we got guys like Ellie Marzulli on the show, which
it's been pretty amazing to see. Like it's like we're letting the story be written, but everything seems to be really lining up. I don't want it, and not in a creepy way, but in a really cool way, I think.
So I mean, besides planets exploding, I mean, what are some things that you would say that...
I mean, I talked to my family about this, so they always want to... My parents want to FaceTime after they listen, and then,
You get the recaps. I love
it. My brother's
been
been getting ready for his wedding, so he said he jumps on the rower for like 5,000 meters. Like, I just put on your podcast. I got to talk to you about some things here. I'm like, yeah, all right. So what do we got here? So shout out to Mom and Dad. Jordan, how are you guys? I love you. My wife listens by proxy because we're yakking in here, and of course she's somewhere in the house being like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. You grew up around the pigskin, throwing balls, playing sports, and then, out of left field comes this Bigfoot show.
Well, but I'm from Northern California, right? And so are you.
Yeah.
And it's like my grandma is from Happy Camp.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to Happy Camp, I don't know how you didn't do that on accident. But you go there and they have a Bigfoot like statue at like the one restaurant in town. It's like that. It's the.
What does your grandma think?
Oh, grandma would be like, yeah, there's Bigfoot. I'm from Happy Camp, and I'd be like, yeah, grandma, you're right.
But I mean, your family calls, your friends call, and that's kind of what the cool thing that's been happening a lot is that we have been getting a lot of our friends calling us up and being like, dude, we got to talk about this episode. Especially like Ron Moorhead. I got a lot of phone calls from people.
Ron. Yeah.
They were just like, wait, what just happened?
But I think this is relevant to the update. Like, I think the Patreon, I think that just so everybody out there knows, like Nate and I aren't doing this to get rich or even made any money. It costs us money more than anything. But it's been a fun thing. But I think we're going to start offering some, we're going to do a little bit of merch, I think. We're going to do some t-shirts, and we do need graphic designers. That was part of what we're going to do here too, right?
Yeah, if you listen to this show and you're a pretty good t-shirt designer and you want to help us design some shirts, we're going to try to put some merchandise up. Like Luke was saying, the podcast takes a lot of effort. Like, we don't just slap them together and throw them out there. We spend a lot of time editing. One of these days I'll have to take a screenshot of an edited podcast episode, and you can kind of see like, oh wow, between the music, we've done a lot of original music, and then some stuff we find online.
You hit that synth, baby, just hitting it.
That 80s theme just burning in there.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say every episode takes around 10 hours total, at least between recording, editing, posting, doing some Photoshop work, and putting it out there. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. We've been getting a lot of messages. Luke, we've been getting a couple messages. The last couple of days, people say this is my favorite podcast.
That means a lot, guys. That's not just, we don't take that lightly. And even if you're just saying it to be nice to us, we still appreciate it.
Well, no, I mean, the weird thing about a podcast is you do this podcast, you have your ideas, and you throw them out on the internet, and then it just goes out there, and you get the statistics graph that says, oh yeah, 2,500 people downloaded that episode.
And then one mad person get online until it said, Nate sucks. 1-star Nate, he's the worst.
One idea I had, Luke, was we get a lot of people who have encounter episodes. So we had a couple people recorded, someone saw a Thunderbird, someone had experiences with Sasquatch on their farm. Dogman was jumping on a guy's roof. Another guy saw Bigfoot and had one scream at him, and he sent us a audio. But Luke and I have been talking back and forth that like maybe Blurry Creatures, more on the back end, we can do some of your guys' encounter stories, because there's a lot of podcasts out there that already do that.
Right, yeah. And then there's a lot of podcasts that's just what they do, right?
Yeah.
And there's radio shows that's what they do, is they talk to people, frontline evidence, and we don't by any means discount that. That just isn't really what our show is, but it doesn't mean that we don't want to tread there, especially because we're a creatures show, right? So
yeah,
that stuff may come in the Patreon space. I want to compile a lot of this because it's great to talk to you guys. So don't by any means, if you have any kind of experience, or please reach out. And also just reach out anyway. It's fun to have messages to respond to. We try to do that best we can. Like Nate and I both have real jobs, but we do our best to get to these things. But we do, that we appreciate it completely, especially regardless of what it is. Even if you're saying that Nate's a ginger and that just means that he has no soul, even it's
or you like Dr. Meme, because
or you like Dr. Meme,
because Dr. Meme has been delivering the last couple of days. Dude, Luke, your Bigfoot Jeff Meldrum buttcast meme got 25 messages from that one, just that one meme.
People like butt jokes.
They like you, Dr. Meme.
Well, you gotta be honest, you had some little trepidation about putting that one out. I had none. I knew that we were gonna be right in our wheelhouse with that, but
no, I don't care.
And another thing I think too is that I think maybe we have to say explicitly in here, because if you've listened to enough episodes, you should know this. But one of the things Nate and I do here is we like to let people have a platform to talk about the things that they've discovered, the things that they believe, the things that they've theorized, right? And
yeah,
in some ways we vet it, obviously, but we want to create this as a safe space. So no, we're not going to have a huge breakdown afterwards. This whole point is to let you make up your own mind, not for us to decide for you what to believe. When this is some people's passion and a lot of times their life work, I don't think critiquing any of that in front of them serves anybody any purpose. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to ask things to be clarified or whatever, but I think it's important to understand this space was created so that we could share information, we could pre-vet this stuff, and then just let that land where it lands with you.
Yeah.
The last thing you need is someone else telling you what to believe.
Well, and also part of what our show does is you and I grew up in the church. And we went through our ages of questioning everything, being a little jaded, being confused. I mean, my ideas of faith and politics changed dramatically in the last 5 years. I would say 5 years ago, I was in a very different place than I am now. And when you start to realize, like what Dr. Jed was saying on the episode, you start to realize that the stories in the Bible aren't allegory, aren't mythical stories. They're based in truth. They happened. And I think you and I have that, we have that belief, and that shapes the way the show goes. I will say this, and if that's not you, but you stuck around with our show, I just want to say thank you, because a lot of people can't go there. They just write it off like, these guys, they're too Christian-y.
Right, and I think a lot of people they also don't want to have any of their beliefs challenged, right? I mean, the last thing, especially in this day and age, people want an echo chamber for their own preconceived notions and thoughts, and they don't want to critically think. I like to think that, like, we do think a lot the same, that the reason that we're in this space is because we critically think, and I'm open here, and I've said this in the beginning, I'm open to have my mind changed, and that's part of why I like having these conversations. Wasn't sure I'm still probably not sure where I land with Bigfoot as far as what he is. I'm not discounting people have these experiences. Like, I think that's probably the best evidence there is that there is something going on, but this is a journey. Like Cool Runnings, man. Peace be the journey.
If you could hang out with one of our guests at a pub, which guy would it be? Which one would you want to? Just like get a couple beers in this guy and really just let it fly, see what he thinks.
I'll be honest, it's probably LA, just because this guy's been in this space the longest out of anybody we've talked to.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you run a pub, you just want to hear stories, right? And the guy's just classic, man. Opens up a briefcase, pulls out a replica elongated skull during our interview. And I've said that a number of times now, but
this is all new material. We've examined these skulls and just go, this is not human. Whatever this is, it's genetic and it's not human. And I'll show you why, since we're into that.
He's pulling out some
this is one of
skulls.
The skulls in Paracas. It's a replica, and Joe Taylor is the man who does this. So that's what it looks like. This is called the cinnamon skull because of the color.
the guy he lives it, man. And I just think that, I've honestly, all of our guests have been phenomenal. So why don't we just fill a pub up with all of them, and then we do some karaoke, and and I can do work on performance, and you can do the vocals since you're the singer. Yeah, who doesn't love karaoke?
I kind of want to hang out with Fritz Zimmerman a little bit. I think that guy's
Fritz time travel. So I'm gonna talk about that.
What I love about Fritz is he just dropped some jokes, and he was not afraid to get weird.
He did. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
That was an episode that stuck around with me. Like just a guy that just has the kind of passion to drive his car around just to see 700 mounds.
Yeah.
I thought that takes some dedication.
I want to meet all these guys like in person at some point. I mean, we hung out with Judd so much now that I feel like we're like good pals. Like I'd see Judd and it would be like we hang out. Who's your favorite host?
Yeah, who's your favorite host out there?
Yeah, who's your narcissist? Who's your favorite host?
Not me. No, it's not me. It's not that redheaded. People don't like redhaired people.
It's because they innately know inside that the Giants had red hair, and they're supposed to just dislike and fear them.
So what's the most unbelievable thing you've heard so far on the show? Like between the little people, Bigfoot, Dogman, Giants, portals.
When we started talking about aliens, I said this yesterday when we were recording. It still makes me cringe. I don't discount that people see stuff in the skies, and they do. But when we start breaking it down into these
grays,
because I subscribe to, I guess, to absolutely a supernatural explanation for that, and not like these are little green men, little gray men, little whatever. It makes me feel like we're on the crazy train on this wacky tangent every time the aliens come up, and I guess just honesty.
The downside is, Luke, is if you have an experience with one of these entities and then everyone's skeptical, who do you go to? Where do you go? You go to
blurry creatures.
You go to like psychics or something, and then it gets worse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't Tim?
Where do you go to blurry? You used to go to blurry creatures on Facebook, and you send a little message and said, "Hey, Nate."
Well, we don't provide that kind of support, emotional support. But like you have, Tim and LA are getting people crying, come up to them and be like, "This is my experience. This is what's going on." I mean, who was it that said, "Do not go see a psychic because you will have I think it was Tim.
Fritz?
I think it was Tim. Tim said if you go, usually people who have been to psychic houses and readings tend to have
abducted.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah. So my point is,
so hey, if you've been abducted, send us a message because I'm curious about it. Because as much as I think I cringe and get skeptical about the alien thing, I don't discount that weird stuff has happened to people that they classify or try to quantify as an abduction.
The more this show barrels on to me, the more I'm realizing there's a battle between good versus evil.
Yeah.
And all these, and there's some neutral characters. Some people think Bigfoot falls in the middle of that. Like Bigfoot's not evil, but he's not your friend either. He's doing his own thing out there. You can leave him a gift basket every once in a while, but that's...
Oh, he's pooping for sure because Ken's got a bunch of it in his freezer.
I mean, he's pooping.
Allegedly.
I don't know. I go back and forth, man. It's sometimes people make Bigfoot sound like your buddy in the woods, and then sometimes it's like, I do not want to see one of these things. Yeah. But anyway, all I have to say is I'm excited about the future of the show. We got a lot of people lined up. Again, if you're a graphic designer...
Yeah, send us a message. We can figure something out.
Dr. Michael Heiser's coming on at the end of March. I would say, Luke, he is the reason I think that I started to look at the Giants seriously. If it wasn't for Dr. Michael Heiser, I don't know if I would be where I am today. So I'm really excited about that episode. And anyone else out there that you might love and you like listening to and you want to have them on the show, shoot them a message and then shoot us a message with their name and we'll bring them on too. And if you've had an encounter and you've seen something weird or you've got a story to tell, shoot us the message too. This is one thing I told one guest, Luke, is take your phone, do a memo, pull your phone out,
voice memo,
stick it on the table, and just do like a 5-minute voice memo of your story, and then email it to us at blurrycreaturspodcast@gmail.com.
No, the other thing I would say is that, like, housekeeping wise, leave us a review. It takes a few seconds. It means a lot to us, and especially in getting us exposure on these in the algorithms on these platforms. Yeah, hit and subscribe if you can. Like, this is again, this is the labor of love for us. Like, yeah, review. Give us a good review. Don't give Nate any 1 stars. And honestly, if you loved listening to these episodes, we had these guests, give them a follow on social media or wherever you may find them, because the work these guys are doing is important as well. And the work that and the research they've done and the things that they're doing, I think is worth following up on and staying up on. Whether it be Dr. Judd and the things he's doing with his institute and his research, or from LA to Fritz to all these guys have a platform. Tom Seward, Megalithic Marvels with Derek. There's some amazing people doing amazing work out there that deserve some eyeballs and some ears, and it's not just us. So give them some love as well.
Yeah, give them some love. And before we go, Luke, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on Bigfoot?
We're going to save that till the end. But.
No thoughts, guys. We're going to keep you guessing, keeping you want more. Thanks for tuning in every week. Again, blurrycreatures.com. We're having a website getting built. It's coming soon, and you're going to be able to sign up, support the show, merchandise.
BC gear coming as well.
BC gear. No, it's awesome. Some people's like, hey, I'm listening all the way in Australia. Can you guys ship a shirt there?
No, we'll just put it on the back of a Thunderbird. Get there quicker.
Maybe we'll come down there and find some giant skeletons.
I love Australia. Shout out to my Aussies.
Oh, man. Well, that's the Yowie. The Yowie's the Bigfoot that lives there?
I don't know, Nate.
Yeah. Yep, there is a Bigfoot in Australia. He's not as big, but he's still there.
Well, he's down under.
Goes with the territory, right?
He's out in the bush, yeah.
Out the bush.
There's something like the 40th deadly animals in the world live in Australia.
Yeah. You got to be
41.
I bet you that's why Crocodile Dundee was such a badass, right?
Yeah, you call that a knife. This is a knife.
The 80s. We love the 80s. We love you guys. Thank you for just...
Graphic designers, creatives, reach out. If you got stories, reach out. You'll be seeing a lot more and hearing a lot more from what we're doing behind the scenes coming up. But we got a great month ahead of us, Nate.
Yeah. And if you can challenge Dr. Meme at his own game, I dare you.
Dr. Meme. You got to give Nate that juice.
All right, guys. Till next time.
Stay blessed.